The dramatic two-part Bachelor finale has finally come to an end. Did we get a happy ending? I think we did. So much to dive into. How is everyone doing? Welcome back to our channel. I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined by Gianna Gravelisi. We have been here all season long, Gianna, recapping it from start to finish, giving commentary. It's safe to say we've both been very, very invested in this journey. What did you think of the ending? How are you doing? Did it end the way you expected it to?
I mean, first of all, I just can't believe it's over. It's like a bittersweet moment because, like you said, we've been so invested. The Bachelor is like our baby in a sense. I mean, we work, we
Mm-hmm.
cover it every single day, and now it's just over. It's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself the following Mondays. But it did end a little as I expected, but I did not expect half of the things that went down in the process. So I was
Mm-hmm.
definitely thrown for a loop many, many times all throughout the 2 hour night. So I can't wait to dive into it right now.
Oh, for sure. And Gianna, we're going to be okay. We have lots of other reality shows we'll be covering here and watching together, like Netflix shows, The Kardashians. So a little break from The Bachelor is going to be good, and we'll get to that announcement in just a little bit. I will say that I am so happy with the ending for all parties. So I can't wait to kind of go through the motions with you to find out how we got here. And before we do all of that, I want to remind everybody to hit the thumbs up on this page right now and give us a subscribe if you have not already. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you are notified with all of the updates over here at Shared News. And we got to get right into this finale because there's a lot to get into. Because right out of the gate, Clayton asked Jesse if he could see Susie because Susie is still in Iceland, and Susie walks in so suddenly, meets Clayton's parents like so briefly. Clayton and Susie talk outside, and he tells her he will do anything to win her back. The reason he acted out that way is because he was so afraid of losing her, and losing Susie meant losing everything, which means that this experience and opportunity, his journey, was just crumbling down before his eyes. Now, Susie expressed that she felt mistreated like a dog when he threw her out and that she needed time to think about things before taking him back. Gianna, you were watching last night and your TV went down for what, like a minute or two, and you were freaking out. But what did you see? I'm glad that I was kind of able to kind of tell you what you missed.
Well, first of all, thank you for streaming it live on your Instagram because I ran right
Yeah.
over to the Instagram app and I got to pick up where I left off. And I don't know why my TV did that. It was like the Bachelor Nation gods were like, hey, you can't watch this part for whatever reason. I did see when she walked into Clayton's parents' Airbnb that they found on
Literally.
Airbnb. And I saw that part and I was just like, why is this happening right now? Why did producers make her see Clayton, but have to encounter his parents first? Like, it just didn't make any sense. She only said hi. She didn't have a conversation with the parents at all. Even after she talked to Clayton, it wasn't like, hey, do you want to meet my parents real quick? Like, just for good measure. Nothing. It was just, hey, I'm Susie, bye, type of thing. So I think it felt really forced and really random. And knowing Susie, if she had to make that decision on her own, I don't think she would have met his parents right off the bat, especially since she knew pretty much that she was probably going to be leaving Iceland alone. I love that she spoke her mind when she sat down with Clayton outside. It made me so sad when she felt like a dog. When she said she felt like a dog, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, like this is like the sweetest girl, and I just was so sad for her. But it also like rang a little bit of a red flag in my head because I was like, okay, Clayton's defense is that he's saying he acted so out of line and he got so angry because if he lost her, it meant that like it was over and he lost
Mhm.
everything. So Clayton, if you felt like that with Susie during your date with her, then why did you choose to continue? If you felt in that moment that you lost everything, that's just
Mhm.
validating the argument that all of Bachelor Nation is making is that Clayton's in the wrong here throughout this entire season because he knew that Susie was the one. He knew he loved her
Mhm.
the most. So it's like, why did you just string these other two girls along just because you wanted to force a marriage? Like, it didn't make any sense. So I'm glad we got to see that conversation play out finally.
Yeah, and we're gonna get all into Gabby and Rachel because you bring up the main point, which is why everyone is so angry with Clayton. I will say that after listening to some interviews on Susie and Clayton, because we know that they are now together, Susie did say that they have had disagreements since the show, since they've been together, and Clayton has never talked down to her. He has never done anything like that to her again. He's never talked to her that way. So, because that is a valid question, Susie, how could you end up taking this guy back who, has this dark side of him? And she kind of assured, everyone listening, that that's not who Clayton is, and it was an out of character moment, and Clayton kind of, agreed with that. We'll see what happens their next argument. I'm sure he'll get mad again, but I mean, you got to think about it this way. He has producers manipulating him. He has had girls on this journey manipulate him. He truly, has invested his all into this journey, and he's losing his mind, and maybe he lashed out at the girl he loved most. So, I mean, there's no denying that he loves Susie the most, so there at least is some honor in that. But we kind of need to talk a little bit about Gabby and Rachel because, as you mentioned, Gianna, they were totally strung along. And what Clayton decided to do after his conversation with Susie, because she, kind of needed to go back to her hotel and take her time before accepting him back, is he needed to break up with Gabby and Rachel. We saw a scene of the two of them talking in the hotel room before. They were kind of like discussing, like, what was your date like? What was your date like? And then Clayton walked in and broke up with both of them together. Gianna, I can kind of explain this, but tell me what you saw. How do you think this double breakup went?
Okay, so this double breakup was so hard to watch because the whole time I was just like, he is not doing this right now to them at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. Like, what a coward, honestly. Like, man
Yeah,
up, put them aside separately. You said you love each of them separately in different ways. So treat them like that then. If you said those
yeah.
feelings are real and they're valid, have enough respect for these women to pull them aside and not embarrass them, not only in front of all of America, but in front of each other. Like that was horrible. So the way the women reacted is that Gabby actually up and left. She was like, I'm done. This is it. I'm all set. I have nothing to say to you, which is how I would have reacted in that moment. So I love Gabby for that. And then Rachel reacted more in a sad way, as we all knew, because, after Monday, we kind of broke this down in yesterday's live. Rachel was reacting more in a heartbroken, sad way, and Gabby
Mm-hmm.
was reacting in more of an angry way. So Rachel immediately started shedding tears. You see in this screenshot, she has her hand over her mouth, her jaw was
I
on the
can't.
ground, and Gabby stormed out, to which Clayton then followed her into the room, which was
Mm-hmm.
another scene that I was just like, what is happening? But it was all in good measure because Gabby roasted him. And this is the moment that I saw in previews that I've been waiting for throughout the entire season. She called him out. She said it was BS what he was saying. She doesn't trust him, this, that, the other thing. And he was like, well, ultimately, can I walk you out? And she said, no. That was the most iconic moment of the entire episode.
Uh-huh.
Stood up, round of applause, but she spit straight facts. Everything she said was completely valid. And I think she spoke for not only herself, but for Rachel as well, because as we saw, Rachel was more emotional. She couldn't really get words out. And someone brought this up, I don't know where, in our comments or Instagram comments. Gabby, we have to remember, she's a nurse. Like, I think she works in an emergency room or something. So the
Uh-huh.
reason why she can handle this situation and like be on her toes and react in a calm, collected manner is because of her
Ooh.
profession. And I really do respect that about her. And I think that's going to carry on really well throughout her season as the next
Yeah,
Bachelorette alongside Rachel. So
I like
I
that.
love
I didn't even see that nurse comment, but that makes sense. She knows how to kind of react in those emergency situations. And to kind of get into the Gabby breakup a little bit, Clayton immediately followed her to the hotel and she called him out for everything. She made it clear that she felt lied to. She called Clayton out on all his BS, saying that he doesn't have the awareness, maturity, or experience to take any accountability. While Clayton profusely apologized to her, she was not putting up with it. She is just so self-aware, and it was just like all she wanted from Clayton in that moment was him to acknowledge that he strung them, the two of them, along, longer than they should have, while he was in love with Susie the whole time. So that's all she kind of wanted. She was like, I understand if it's not me, but it's like, why did you keep us at the rose ceremony? Why did you beg me to stay? Because remember, she was ready to leave. She should have left at the rose ceremony right then and there. That was her intuition and gut telling her that she needed to go. But I feel like fate wanted her there so that like we could get this dual bachelorette with Gabby and Rachel. And we kind of saw the breakups compartmentalize as we had Gabby go on after the final rose, after her breakup, before we got to Rachel's breakup. And on the hot seat, Gabby stood up for herself again. She let all her feelings out. We got to see Gabby's family in the audience, including her iconic grandfather. Clayton apologized to Gabby once again, but I don't think she accepted it. I feel like she kind of just like moved on, and I know she doesn't think he's a bad guy, but I don't think that they're going to be friends anytime soon. What did you think? Also, Gabby looked so hot on after the final rose, right? Like her hair, her dress, everything was on point.
Gabby looked stunning. Like I was mind blown by her look. I mean, not to say that she's not a stunning woman, but she showed up to after the final rose and like full glam hair, the dress, everything. And she just blows me away every single time. And again, she kept her composure on the couch when she had to face Clayton. And I just don't even know how she does this, especially it's like, you're live on camera, which is nerve wracking as it is. Now you're seeing Clayton for the very first time since you got in that car in Iceland. That's nerve wracking. She had just so much on the table for her and she still held it down like a champion. And I also love that she expressed multiple times in this conversation that she knows that Clayton had no malicious intent. I feel like a lot of Bachelor Nation and people all over social media are kind of like playing Clayton out to be this like monster, and he was doing it on purpose and he just wanted to, have sex with these women and he was doing everything with full intentions of knowing. But like, I kept my mind open watching this episode, and considering he's on a show that's like so untraditional, it's reality TV, but it's really not reality. It's like a social experiment.
This was
really.
real. This was real.
Crazy circumstances for him. And on top of it, he genuinely didn't know. Like, he didn't know how to react in situations. Like, and you can't really, at the end of the day, be angry at him for it. Sure, like, let's hold him accountable for not handling things well. But because, and again, she said this with him when he followed her to the hotel room, he genuinely doesn't have the life experience to have handled these situations properly. And this is why I said yesterday, I got roasted for saying this yesterday. I said that he might benefit from therapy because at this point in life, he's in his late 20s, 30s. If you don't have the experience, when are you going to get that experience, So I hope he gets it with Susie. I hope he's learning and growing as it is. But everything Gabby said, again, was so valid. And I loved how she brought up the fact that he wasn't doing anything maliciously or intentionally, because it really is true. You have to feel bad for him to a certain degree,
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the relationship experience. He got sent home, halfway through Michelle's season, so he doesn't know what it's like to be in the final 2 or 3 and get your heart broken, as well as him not being in a relationship for, 5 or 6 years? Remember what he said to Rachel last night as we kind of get into Rachel's breakup? He told her that Rachel was the first girl he said I love you to in 6 years, okay? Like, he totally did not know what he was doing, and he was totally just not in his right mindset. And when Clayton went back to talk to Rachel after Gabby left, Rachel let her heart out to him. She sobbed, she cried. She said that she was the only one that stood by him at that rose ceremony while Gabby was ready to walk away. She fought for him until the bitter end, and he never fought for her. She only stayed because she never saw it ending any other way than the two of them together. He walked her to the car and she cried the whole way through, saying, I can't believe you're putting me in this car. Gianna, I cried. I was very, like, my emotions were all over the place the entire episode, but I think the saddest part for me was watching Rachel's breakup. I even rewatched it this morning on YouTube, and while I was eating my breakfast, and then I couldn't even finish my breakfast because I started crying again. I have never felt for someone more on The Bachelor than Rachel, like, that I can think of in recent years. Maybe, like, Blake Hortzman, I felt for him when Becca dumped him, but it was just, like, it was so traumatizing seeing Rachel so upset because she was so in love, and it was just so sad. Like, she loved him so much. How did you kind of process this breakup? Were you crying as well?
So I didn't shed any tears, but I definitely felt really sad for her. I could definitely sympathize with her. And I think it's because Zach, I mean, I don't know for you, but I feel like a lot of us have experienced a situation kind of similar, obviously not on the actual
Mhm.
show, but in our own lives. I feel like we've all had that one person that we felt so strongly for and loved so, so much. And then it's like when they end it with you, it's just like your world is crushed. Like your heart is
Mhm.
broken. It's like you're having like a weird, like, it's sad. It's the worst thing that anyone could ever go through. One of the worst things, I should say. So I feel like you and I were maybe like relating with her in a way watching this go down, and that's why we felt so sad. It was just like, again, it was hard to watch her be hysterical on Monday, and it was even harder to watch her be times 10 last night. And
Mhm.
it was just so freaking sad. And again, I love the point that she brought up when she was like, I was the only one that stood by you. Like Susie
Mhm.
left, Gabby left, and it still wasn't good enough for you, because it just proves again Clayton was like kind of blind. He was going through this journey blind. Maybe he should go on Love is Blind. Like, I don't even know. He was just like not picking up on anything, not making the right decisions, not seeing what was right in front of him. And I really do wish the best for Rachel. I really, really do. But like I could
Mhm.
feel her when she was like, "You're really gonna do this to me right now? You're putting me in this car." Like, I felt that. So I felt absolutely horrible for her.
Yeah, and I loved when she brought up, when she went on after the final rose to kind of express how she felt, she explained that she cried so many tears for him and he didn't even flinch for her. He didn't cry for her. He didn't even feel bad. He didn't even give her enough respect to break up with her privately. He had to do it with Gabby, another group date. This was not a 2-on-1 date anymore. Gianna, we're not on a 2-on-1 date. This is the final moments of the show. And Rachel expressed on After the Final Rose how she felt so blindsided that she never got to stand up for herself in that moment. We even saw her parents very angry in the audience. Rachel's dad was ready to fight Clayton backstage. Like, I hope that he got out of there safe and sound and in one piece. And she felt so disrespected that she could never look at him the same. So that was kind of the question that Jesse Palmer and a lot of people were asking, like, do you still love Clayton? And she said that after watching him back on TV and seeing how he disregarded her every step of the way and totally didn't take accountability into her feelings or for Gabby's feelings, she could never look at her the same. The feelings were dissolved. The tears she were crying on After the Final Rose had nothing to do with him. She is done crying with him. And the last thing she asked Gianna, this is so iconic. This was her most iconic moment. Why did you tell me you loved me? Was it because you wanted to sleep with me? He said no, and she's like, I don't believe you. End scene. Drops mic. Honestly, I think that was the most iconic moment of the night. What did you think?
I agree. That might be tied with Gabby saying no, you can't walk
No,
me
but
out. Like
more.
they okay, you think it's more. I liked Gabby's thing still better, but I really am glad that she said this too, because she was addressing another issue that Bachelor Nation was talking about all over social media. It was like, was he really playing these women just because he was thinking with his downstairs area and he wanted to do things?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was another huge issue that people were accusing him of. And again, like, do we really, really know at the end of the day? No. Clayton is literally a wild card. None of us can trust him at this point. We don't know. Um, and it's just, oh, this was so crazy. Like, I don't know if I believe him or not. I really don't, because I try to put myself in these people's positions. Again, I'm trying to watch this show being like, okay, what would I do if I were Rachel in this situation? What would I do if I were Clayton in this situation? I think he definitely was looking forward to sleeping with these women. And I think that he
Mm-hmm. They're
definitely
hot.
wanted. I know, yeah. And then he's like, he was on a dry spell for like a few months too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like he had
Yeah.
to. But I don't know if he necessarily told her that he loved her just to get in her pants type of thing. I really don't think that he would do that, because that is malicious. And again, Gabby believes that Clayton isn't malicious. So I don't think that he did something like that truly. Again, I think he was genuinely confused about what love was, about what lust was, about what having strong feelings were. It's just, he was confused at the end of the day. But I really am glad that she kind of put him in his place by saying that and
Mm-hmm.
asking him that question. And you heard the entire audience gasp too
Yeah.
behind it. And I also love that she was like, these tears aren't for you, dude. Like, I don't love you anymore. But she's genuinely hurt, and like watching herself go through that, I would be the same way. And also, we have to think about it too. It's like, these women say, okay, Rachel's like, I love Clayton, but they only love the version of him that they know. Like, you have to think about it. If you just cut down all Rachel and Clayton's time together, it would be so, so, so minimal. Like, Rachel didn't see what was going on until she watched it back in real time. So it's like she loved what she thought Clayton was, not who he actually is. So I love that she brought that up too. Many good points.
And that was the closure. That was the closure that she needed. And I think they got the major closure from watching the show back and seeing how everything played out. I think Clayton was manipulative. I think he was trying to sleep with Rachel, because the fact that he said, I love you to her, and then brought up the 6 years thing, like, I'm glad that Rachel stood up for herself. And you brought up the audience gasping, and we have to talk a little bit about the audience here, because that is another show in itself. Okay, Gianna, not only did we have the families, the angry parents, we had Demi sitting next to Marissa and Shanae, and then down the row, we have James and Aaron sitting next to Genevieve and then Deandra. Aaron and Genevieve sitting right next to each other. And then you can see them right in the behind shot with Jesse Palmer. And then Shanae is in the same room. I have to know if they all got drinks together after, or if they said hi together, because Genevieve and Shanae were arch rivals on Bachelor, on The Bachelor this season. And I think this kind of confirms that we will see them around again. If they're getting invited to the tell-all, what do you think was the most shocking moment for you in the audience? A lot of people going around.
Oh, it had to be Genevieve and Aaron sitting next to each other, because that was within 3 seconds of the show starting. It was right when they opened up on Jesse.
I know.
And it was like they were purposely placed there. You know, Genevieve was in this really bright colored dress. So immediately my eyeball went to her, and I was like, that's Genevieve. And then they cut to a shot of them two sitting next to each other. So the edit and the way that they showed it was very intentional, in my opinion, from Bachelor producers. I really think that's what it was. Like, I don't think that Genevieve and Aaron were like, hey, let's go to after the final roast together and sit next to each other. Like, I literally think that they both got invited separately, and there was assigned seating, and those were their seats, type of thing. And then Shanae and Demi, a match made in heaven. Both of them, think of the two most iconic villains from Bachelor Nation. They're right there next to each other. As much as I can't stand either of them in a way, I thought that was an iconic moment, and I was just yes, I ship this friendship right now. And I wish that we got a little more of the alumni's point of view as we got on Monday, but we did not have time for any of that, of course, I know. But there were just so many questions now that we have all that are up in the air about the alumni that were in the audience together. So I don't know if they all got drinks together. I'm thinking, Aaron and James and Genevieve and everyone that, they were one team, and then Shanae and all them were on the other side of the bar on their own separate team. It's still a rivalry. Thing. I don't think they're all gonna be friends anytime soon.
Yeah, they should have had me there. I could have done a behind the scenes vlog of everything, and it would have been iconic, because there's just so much going on in the dressing rooms, and Bachelor Nation, the social team, just does not cover it enough. So FYI, you should hire me. But I will say, I watched Aaron's story, and it seemed like he drove right back to San Diego with James after the tell-all. That's a 2.5 hour drive. And Aaron was also on the Clickbait Nation podcast this week, and he kind of talked about meeting Genevieve. He said that they met at a bar once. I think I brought this up yesterday on our live. So did I not? Do you remember?
You may have. Everything's a blur at this point.
Everything is a blur. Well, they met at a bar once, and they never hooked up, okay? But it was definitely convenient to get the two of them next to each other. But we need to move on in this live show, because we did get a happy ending between Clayton and Susie. But how did we get here? I want to remind you guys, we do have a live chat going on right now. So be sure to start typing in your questions, your opinions, your hot takes, because we will be getting to a Q&A at the end of today's live. And that will be coming up in just a few minutes, because Clayton broke up with both of the girls. He professed his love to Susie. It was finally time to see how Clayton's journey was going to end. Susie went to meet Clayton for the final time in Iceland. He asked her for a second chance. Susie decided to leave Iceland single and said that she cannot accept a relationship or proposal from him, and that the relationship was over. Clayton said he was willing to fight for the relationship, as long as, until she said it was over, and she made it clear that it was over. And he had the ring. I don't know where he got the ring. We didn't even see Neil Lane until we saw him in the audience, but he had a ring ready to go. Do you think he was really going to propose to Susie?
So this part genuinely confused me because the way that he displayed or showed Susie the ring, he was going off on his little tangent about how he's willing to fight for her and how serious he was, and then reached in his pocket and was like, "This is how serious I am." But he didn't get down on one knee. So I was like, was he too afraid that she was gonna say no and he would be completely much more embarrassed than he already was in that moment? Because it's like, why didn't you get down on one knee in that moment then to really show her how serious you were? Like, he's just like, guess what I have in my
They
pocket?
could have cut it out.
He
I think it's
maybe,
possible.
I don't know. Like, it's just, it was weird. The whole thing, him like just being like, hee, like, here it is. Like, it just rubbed me the wrong way for some
Yeah.
reason. So yeah, I was wondering if there was some editing going on there, if producers were like, hey, actually don't get down on one knee type of thing. Um,
I have some
or like
tea,
what
Gianna. I have some behind the scenes tea, straight from the sources.
Bill.
Apparently, like the producers told Susie that he was going to propose. They were actually really pushing for a proposal in Iceland, but Susie made it very clear to the producers that she was going to say no regardless. She was going to meet him and talk to him, and maybe she would have got back with him if she felt like it in that moment, but there was no way she was going to accept a proposal. So I think it might have been possible that he was like kind of going to propose but he was like feeling her out first. And then like obviously she ended up leaving, single, leaving on her own. And I mean, what an empowering moment to see Susie, just hold her ground, because it just would have been too premature for her to get back with him. A lot of people are already giving her flack for getting back with him after everything he did. But if she got back with him in Iceland so easily after he like threw her to the curb, like no, he had to really prove it to her that he was serious about her. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But I mean, this is the first time a Bachelor has left the show rejected. I was talking to you guys about Brad Womack back in the day, who dumped both girls and left the show single like 10 years ago. But this is the first time that all of the girls, the last girl broke up with Clayton and she let him go. He deserved that, correct? Like, he deserved to be the lowest of, like, at that point, like, he just pushed himself there.
100%. I think, Clayton said all night over and over in so many different ways that he takes accountability for his actions and he wishes that he did things differently and he made a lot of mistakes. And I think that this, at the end of the day, was just karma for his mistakes. And honestly, I think that Clayton really needed to get rejected at the end of all of this. I really think that this was, we've been talking about Clayton lacking experience this entire life. This was his one big experience that hopefully, I think, has opened his eyeballs and how he approaches and goes through relationships from here on out. And I think that was like smart of Susie in a sense for her to be like, nope, like here's your learning lesson. Let
Bye.
me talk to you in a few months. Because again, I think he really had to go through that. It was literally for the
Mm-hmm.
better at the end of the day. Did he deserve to? Yes, I think. Like, I don't want to
Yeah,
sound mean. I don't want to keep bashing Clayton. He
he
did, but I
did.
also, at the end of the day, he needed the rejection. He really, truly needed it to learn and go through that. So
Yeah, and it seems like he might have learned a few things because he was able to win back Susie. So on After the Final Rose, we talked to Clayton. We think he's single. Jesse's like, there's a girl here. They were showing Susie's feet and like heels or something in the legs. And I was like, obviously I knew it was Susie, but I was just like, what if it's Kira? What if it's like someone else? Like, I was going through like the possibilities. I was like, wait a minute. Like, it was just really intriguing. Susie did explain in post interviews that she did reach out on Instagram message to Clayton after she got home. So the first thing she did when she got to the airport was call her parents, and then she DM'd Clayton. She wanted to talk to him and kind of get closure. They ended up talking for a few weeks, hours on the phones before officially getting back together as boyfriend and girlfriend. And we saw last night, after all of Clayton's BS, Susie is sticking by him. She claims him, she loves him, she kissed him. That's her man, and she made that very clear. Are you happy to see this couple together, even in the unconventional way?
For some reason, I am. I've been giving Clayton a very hard time throughout this entire process. But when I saw them together, Zach, they are so smitten together. Like, I haven't seen Clayton that happy the entire season,
Ever.
and
Or
Susie too,
last season.
ever. Really, I mean, him and Susie, they just work for some reason, in my opinion. And I applaud Susie for how she handled leaving Iceland and then her reaching out to him. Like, that's such a power move. And I think that was her essentially putting her foot down with Clayton and being like,
Hmm.
guess what? You're not in control anymore. You're not the bachelor anymore. Like, this is real life, and I am going to take the reins of this relationship. And she even said, she was like, if he ever proposed, I think, I'd be the one proposing. Like, it's clear that she wears the pants. And I think that's
Yeah.
necessary because, again, Clayton is a little lost when it comes to relationships, but I think Susie is now taking on the girlfriend teacher role. Like, I feel like a lot of times in life, like, men can learn a lot from women in relationships, and women
Hmm.
can guide men in the right direction, and vice versa too. But I think this is good for the both of them. I really do. And I think
Yeah.
Susie, we saw, like, she won't put up with BS at all. So a lot of
Hmm.
people, yeah, they've been criticizing her for being like, you watch that whole season and you're still going to get back with him. But like, this is Susie. Like, now she's on her own journey with Clayton. Like, she made a smart decision. We should trust her intuition and trust her thought process after seeing her. And I have nothing but respect for her. So I wish them nothing but the best. And I, for some reason, really like them together. Like, I thought they were so cute on the couch together last night, being all like lovey-dovey.
Yeah, they definitely seem very happy, very committed. It's been about 4 months they've been together since filming stopped. So they have had some time to kind of, probably see each other, talk on the phone for hours, FaceTime, move forward. I like what you said about Susie wearing the pants in the relationship because we all know Clayton could barely keep his pants on. We all saw Fantasy Suites week. I'm just saying. We have some updates on what's next for Susie and Clayton. So Clayton is moving to Virginia Beach. This is where Susie lives. They're going to be doing a cross country road trip together after they're done with all their press interviews the next few days. They're going to be driving to Arizona from Virginia to get the rest of Clayton's stuff. And then I guess they're going to drive back too. I mean, that seems like a long road trip, but they need it. And hopefully they can kind of take the time, explore the country. And I mean, they're probably going to get recognized at every stop. So if you are anywhere in between Virginia and Arizona, feel free to go find Susie and Clayton and let us know. Take a selfie with them. And they have no plans to get engaged or married in the near future. They do plan on spending the rest of their lives together, and those decisions will come when the timing is right. But they are planning on moving in together. So I don't know if they're going to get their own apartment together, like if he's going to move into Susie's, if they're going to move in separate apartments. But they are going to do everything they can to make it work. And he's going to be a Virginia boy. Do you have hope for this couple? What do you think is next for them? Do you think they're really going to make it work in the long haul?
So, first off, I just want to say that one time I was given a piece of relationship advice from, I
Okay.
think it was like a professor that I had or something, someone older. And he was like, if you ever want to figure out if you're meant to be with somebody or if your relationship is going to work, go on a cross country road trip. I'm not even kidding.
No
I've been told
way.
that before. Swear. So this could either make or break them because I mean, being in the car with somebody, I've been on a cross country road trip with my best friend. It's an experience, and you guys go through a lot together. And just having all that time alone in a car together really either brings you
Hmm.
closer or pulls you apart. So let's see if they last after the road trip. But if they do, I really do have hope for them. I think that in Bachelor Nation, in all of the seasons that we've seen, Zach, you and I were talking about this earlier. People
Hmm.
bring up a good point in saying the couples that
Yeah.
actually last are the couples that get together in the most unconventional way. Whereas the couples that
Hmm.
get together, that get engaged on the very last episode and it's all rainbows and butterflies, they never end up working together. So I think that this is such a smart move for both Clayton and Susie for being like, hey, let's not get engaged in Iceland after hell broke loose. Let's actually test our relationship out in the real world. And they're not even rushing. They're not even rushing to get engaged. So this is so smart. And that's how relationships work in the real world. So I think they
Uh-huh.
have I think they have a good chance of succeeding in the future.
Yeah. And a few of those couples are Matt and Rachel, Ari and Lauren, Jason and Molly. Like you mentioned, a lot of the couples that have the most unconventional love stories are the ones that are still together. You don't see, Nick still with Vanessa. You don't see, Colton still with Cassie. I guess that's a bad example. But like, it's sometimes the most adversity and hardship you go through will actually build you stronger, even if it happens so early on. The one thing I'm worried about is I don't think they should move in together right away. I feel like they've only been dating 4 months plus the show where he was dating other girls. So like, they've only known each other 7 months. I recommend that he gets his own apartment in Virginia Beach, like 10, 15 minutes down the road, and then they kind of just like make it work that way. Um, if not, I mean, I guess they're moving in together. That's what they said. So hopefully they post a lot of content because I am interested in their love story. And congratulations. I don't know if we said it enough, but congratulations to Susie and Clayton. And the good news, the happy ending does not end there because not only did Clayton and Susie get their happy ending, well, Clayton got it like 3 times. We have a happy ending for Gabby and Rachel, as well as Jesse announced he will be joining them as their new journey as double bachelorettes. Jesse says they don't know exactly how this is going to work, but the two of them will be there throughout the duration of the season. So it's no one or the other. They'll be dating 30 guys. So does that mean 15 each, 30 together? And this is the first time in Bachelorette history. And Gianna, they are starting to film over the next few days. Production is set to start, I believe, this weekend. How excited are you for this news, and how do you think it's going to go?
Oh, I was stoked. And I knew the second Jesse was like, and when we come back, it's not Gabby and it's not Rachel. And I was like,
Not
you just gave
Rachel.
us the answer. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
who wrote that tease, if he wrote it himself, but I was like, that was not smart. We just knew. And Zach, I mean, I think I heard that prediction from you out of all people first, that there would
Uh-huh.
be two bachelorettes. And the whole thing is like, how is this going to work? Because it's just so not like anything we've ever seen before at all. My prediction is they're gonna date the 30 guys all together. They're all gonna date the same men. And I think maybe after night one, or maybe even night like 3 or 4, either Rachel and Gabby are gonna pick their men, or what I said before we got on live, I'm picturing a reverse rose ceremony where all 30 men get a rose, and then they pick that who they're going to seek out for the rest of the season. And then the women can either be like, you know, go to Rachel, not me, or maybe they can switch people halfway through. But I think there has to be a breaking point at some point that divides the men either 15 and 15 or 20 and 10, or who knows how that's going to work,
Yeah.
really.
Well, hopefully it's 15-15. God forbid, like, more of the guys are interested in Gabby and more interested in Rachel. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's going to work where I want Rachel and Gabby to have all of the power. They deserve it after what they went through. I think there's going to be guys that are clearly interested in Gabby. There's going to be guys that are clearly interested in Rachel. And I feel like there are going to be some guys in the middle that are going to have to feel it out with both. And that might take us, more into halfway through the journey. Hopefully it doesn't get to a situation where they're in love with the same guy and it's like the final four. But I do think it's going to get to a point where these guys there's going to be at least one guy that likes both of them or that they like, and they're going to have to figure it out. I don't know if it's going to be like only two guys meet two families. Are we going to get double proposals? Jesse said they're figuring it out as they go. They've never done this before. They did something similar with Britt and Caitlyn, but the guys ended up choosing night one, and Caitlyn was the Bachelorette. Michelle and Katie, they gave them 2 different seasons. So this is something we've never seen before. You can kind of base it off of, get ideas from Joe Millionaire, where they had 2 bachelors, or Double Shot at Love with Pauly and Vinny on MTV, where they were 2 bachelors. So the Bachelorette is going to have their own twist on this, and we do have a new air date for the season of July 11th, which is a lot later than we are used to. Usually we get the Bachelorette in late May, sometime in June. So now everyone is freaking out about Bachelor in Paradise, Gianna, because if it airs in July 11th, let's say the Bachelorette needs at least 2 to 3 months. When are they gonna film Paradise? Are they gonna air it in October, November? Then it's usually a summer show. So are we getting another spinoff? Is there no Paradise this year? Are you worried about that? How do you think it will play out?
Oh, there needs to be Paradise. I feel like
I
Paradise
know.
is Bachelor Nation's breath of fresh air. It takes a lot out of you to watch a whole season of The Bachelor or Bachelorette, and then it's like summer comes, we're all having fun. and this is such a fun show to watch itself. So I'd be heartbroken if there was no Paradise this year. And that's the first thing I thought when I saw that the date was July 11th. I'm like, no,
Late.
like this is not allowed. Like this is really not allowed. Like where's Paradise? Maybe, okay, hear me out. What if I would not like this at all, if they aired both at the same time and moved Paradise to like it was Bachelorette Monday, Paradise Tuesday, or like something of that nature. I would vomit.
Gianna, we couldn't cover
No,
that.
no, we couldn't do it. We would be on the clock. We would be working overnights. It would be crazy. So
Overnights.
other than that, I'm gonna say October, November ish, fall though. Like I feel like that's a weird time to watch Paradise. I don't know. I really don't know.
They
This is weird.
could, they could do Bachelorette Monday and Tuesday nights if they want to fast forward the season. I mean, just like what happened the last
Oh,
2 weeks, we had Bachelor Monday and Tuesday. I do know, I can confirm to you that there has been a lot of people already asked to do Paradise for the summer, so it's possible that they might just film Bachelorette and then go right into filming Paradise, air Bachelorette, and then air Paradise in like September. I mean September, October. So no, you never know. They also could be throwing us off too. We don't really know how it's going to go down, but either way, I think that this season of The Bachelorette is going to be so iconic. So we are so excited for Rachel and Gabby, and we want to open it up to you guys listening, watching us right now. We have our live chat going on. We're going to answer some questions, maybe read some tweets. If you guys have any hot takes, any opinions, let us know in the live chat right now. We cannot wait to hear from you guys. I mean, it's just a lot. There was just so much last night, and I think it ended the way it was supposed to. Would you agree with that? Like, I'm
yeah,
so happy with the ending.
absolutely. I think, after everything we've all gone through along with Clayton and the rest of the women, I think we can all say, this is a good ending. This is whatever. And, regardless, the Bachelor lead, the Bachelorette lead, they're always gonna get roasted all over social media. We have to remember that. Even I said to you earlier, Michelle was the least roasted because everyone loves her, but she still got roasted for what she decided. So we have to remember at the end of the day, like, no matter who is in the lead position, anything they do is going to get criticized by everybody. They could do a season perfectly, whatever that looks like. I don't know if there's a such thing as a
Sean
perfect
Lowe.
season. But everyone, yeah, everyone's gonna get roasted at the end of the day. So it's just a show. It's just fun. Let's all not take it so seriously.
Yeah, so let's get into these questions. Me and Gianna will go back and forth. Sean says, the problem is all the bachelors are picked to be playboys the first 2/3 of the season and then expect these playboys to change to husband material in just a few weeks. Not happening. You can just look at the last list of bachelors. I mean, Peter had no idea what he was doing. Clayton, Playboy. I mean, I feel like Ari was ready for it, but then even he ended up making the wrong decision and screwing over Becca. I mean, Matt James, I feel like he was, set in his ways and he was able to kind of, do things maturely. But then he had a whole, bachelor scandal. I mean, it was just like these bachelors, they need to pick better men, you think, right? They need to pick older men. They need to pick guys in their 30s. But then it's like they want young people on the show because they think it's like so much hotter to have like 23-year-olds. But I mean, I think a mature season would be great too.
Yeah, but would producers ever really want a mature season? I mean, where's the fun in that? There's not going to be as much drama. Of course, it's going to be an easy plot line, and I don't think producers would ever even want that to happen because ratings would just be like, meh. But there's people like you that do want a mature season because they're done with the drama. So who knows? But Judy is saying, I'm so happy for Clayton and Susie. They're beautiful together. They've been through the mill together. Thankfully, the show is behind them. I'm so glad. Honestly, I agree with Judy. Speaking, they are beautiful together. Like they are a hot couple together. You know how there's those couples that just like look perfect for each other, like just their physical appearance. I feel like Clayton and Susie are that couple. Like I feel like they're gonna make pretty children if they have children. Like they're a good couple together, and I really am glad the show is behind them. I would hate to see like bad blood be carried over into both of their lives separately. That would be really sad.
Yeah.
So I think we're all not happy with Clayton. He's not our favorite bachelor ever, but I think we can all come to the conclusion that we are happy for him at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it makes it easier to be happy for them knowing that Gabby and Rachel are getting justice by being the both
Yeah.
bachelorettes. Like they didn't pick between the two of them. They're both going to get a happy ending as well. So it's like how could you not be happy for everybody? And I trust Susie. Like Susie has always been level-headed, grounded, mature, and if Susie trusts Clayton and trusts what they have, then I trust Susie. So I think that they're going to do the best and I'm happy for them and I mean, it's nice to see a happy ending. They are cute together. They do kind of look alike. What's your prediction for when they're gonna get engaged? They said they're gonna take their time. I feel like it's gonna take like 2 years because they're both, 28.
Oh, okay, 2 years. I was gonna give them a year because, like you said, they've known each
Okay.
other for 4 months. But technically, if you want to count the show, let's make it 7 months. So
Mm-hmm.
if you add a year on top of that, that's almost 2 years. But yeah, I feel like I don't know. Will Clayton do something stupid like try to make it like, oh, the date that the his original season aired on TV, or like the date that they actually met? Is it going to be something like that? Is he going to try to like make it a special date, or is he just gonna do the damn thing? Like, who knows? But I'll give it a year or two. I want to say I feel like if they're already moving in together, an engagement isn't gonna be like far away for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what they do for work. I mean, there's no job for Clayton in Virginia Beach. Like, is he going to be an influencer? Are they going to start a YouTube channel together? What's the next steps? We know Susie was waiting tables, but she also was a videographer or photographer. So, what is the next
She
steps
was
between the
a
two of them?
Disney princess too.
She was. And she so is. So they're going to be doing lots of
Really?
interviews this week, guys. We'll watch them all and we'll recap them for you over here at Shared News. Yvonne says, I don't think he's out of character. She will see that dark side of him again when it doesn't work out and they break up. Worse, a divorce. Ooh, listen, this is what Clayton looks like when he gets to a dark place and he gets the most upset he's ever been. So that side will probably come out again because life is hard and there's hardships. However, how have you never been angry before? Have you ever never lashed out or cursed at somebody that you loved in an argument when you're so mad? Like, we've all been to that dark place before where we act like a complete fool and we make mistakes. So Clayton owned up to those mistakes and he's taking effort and accountability and he apologized. And there's only so much more he could do. I mean, I think he could have given more apologies at this point. What he gave to Susie, he proved to her he loved her. He apologized. He's making it work. Susie did say on Nick Vile's podcast this morning that anytime she has a complaint with him, he goes the extra effort. He makes that, effort known to her that he wants to make it work and that he loves her. So I believe Susie when she says that, he is doing everything he can to make it back. And I'm sure he will get angry again and lash out. And she probably will get angry too and lash out because that's just how emotions work.
I completely agree with you. And not to make excuses for Clayton whatsoever, because it was wrong what he did and how he was speaking to Susie. But like you
Very
said,
wrong.
Zach, you have to think about us in our own lives, whether it was in a relationship or with a friend or with a parent. Like, we've all lashed out and said things that we don't mean. Nobody's perfect. Like, we cannot be judging these people that are in the limelight acting like we're such perfect humans. And like, what if you were put in that position? You also have to think, like, again, I try to watch the show on an empathetic level. I try to put myself in their mindset, in their position.
Hmm.
Clayton, he's been going through this journey for months. I know damn well that they do not sleep on that show, and I'm already angry myself when I don't sleep. They probably don't eat a ton, so I'm angry when I also don't eat. That puts me in a mood. And then you have to remember they were in Iceland. They were probably so jet lagged and turned
And
around and
cold.
exhausted. And then you have to think in cold, and you have to think about all the producers that are just chirp, 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 chirp. Clayton, do this. What if you do this? How about you do this? Like, he was probably so frustrated with everything as a whole that he just had a blow up moment in a sense.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But Natalie is saying, do you see Shanae finding love on Paradise?
Ooh.
I could see a Clayton and Susie on and off relationship. Oh, Shanae.
Let's see. She'll be
No, because
there.
I
If
think
she was
if
at
she
after the final rose, they're going to invite her to
oh,
paradise if they do it.
she is being invited to Paradise. She will be at Paradise. I have no doubt in my mind that she won't be at Paradise. Um, and I really think that she would just rock the beach exactly the way that she caused a ruckus with all the women on Clayton's season. So I don't know if she'll necessarily find love. I think she will be like Demi and will be in the boom boom room a lot and causing
Mhm.
commotion and, maybe ruining other people's relationships. But I don't know if she'll necessarily find love on the beach.
You
Maybe
never
she could find
know.
love and it could work in the real world, but I don't see her getting engaged on the beach. Like I really just don't for some reason. I'm also still like bitter toward
I
her.
want that though. I want to see her get engaged. I remember Crystal was like the biggest villain on Ari's season, and then she ended up getting engaged on Paradise. It didn't work out. She got divorced a year later, but it was still so funny to see. You know who I want to see Shanae with, Gianna?
Who?
James. If Aaron and Genevieve can get together, they need to be together in Paradise. Then we need Shanae and James, and they have to be forced to double date and like each other. Like, there's no way they didn't cross paths last night. Like, at least said hi to each other, even if it was like a fake hi. Like, I wish that moment was on camera. Like, where is the behind the scenes footage? Like, I'm gonna be stalking all the accounts and trying to find this out. Spiky says Clayton is a clown. There is a picture of Clayton dressed up as a clown for Halloween, and a lot of people have been using that as a meme. A lot of people have also kind of called out, like Mike Fleiss, who tweeted, "This is going to be the next Bachelor will change all our world problems," and then here we are with Clayton. He did not do that. I don't think he's a clown. I just think he was a coward a few times throughout the night when he broke up with Gabby and Rachel. It was very cowardly of him. And I think he's a good guy who's just was very, immature and just inexperienced and just kind of selfish at times. For sure. Debub says the best couples move away from the spotlight and don't stay in LA. Moving to Virginia makes this more real. See, I really thought she was going to move to
Oh.
Arizona because I know he just moved there. So I'm shocked to see him move to Virginia. We know he's originally from Missouri, so I don't know how far that is from Virginia, but it's closer. So maybe he wanted to be close to home.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, again, I don't know the exact geography, but I think Virginia is closer to Missouri, and then
It
that would be
is.
convenient for the both of them, I think. But yeah, it's like now he's gonna be an East Coast boy, and then if I ever see him, I'm gonna give him all my full thoughts here on the East Coast. So we'll see how that
Love
works.
that.
But Crystal is saying I will give it a year. I believe Clayton knows he has to be extra intentional to keep her and make sure she trusts him. I think Crystal's referring to maybe the question you asked me, Zach, of how long you think it is until they get engaged.
Hmm.
Or is she saying she's giving the relationship a year until they break up? I can't really comprehend this comment, but yeah, I feel like a year if they get engaged. But again, they just seems look at this picture of them. Like look at the way that she looks at him and the way he was looking at her. Like they were just all over each other. Like you could just tell that he really, really loves her and she loves him right back. So and then all the circumstances, them not getting engaged right away, him moving to Virginia, them being out of the limelight. I really think it's all going to be in their favor working forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just choosing to be optimistic about them because why not root for them? Like, they seem happy, they're in love. Like, let's just wish the best for them. Lexi Quinn says Shanae and Queen Victoria will be best friends. I will say, Queen Victoria, I know, is open to going back to Paradise. The last time I spoke to her about it was probably a few months ago. I don't know if she was asked in the past couple of weeks when they started asking people, but I know that she is open to going. Her time was cut short last year. And if Demi is getting along with Shanae, then I could see Shanae and Queen Victoria taking over that beach together.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if she would go back. I mean, I feel like I could definitely see that happening, but Queen Victoria had such an iconic moment on her season and then in Paradise, and it's just like is it getting old at this point? Like are we done with Queen
Okay.
Victoria in the franchise? Like is Bachelor Nation done with Queen Victoria? Like would that be too repetitive? Like are there too many new candidates that are eligible to be, Bachelor in Paradise icons. Like, I don't know. I just feel like
That's
that's.
fair.
I like Queen Victoria. But not to say this in a negative way. I think that would be like a waste of a spot on the beach. You know what I'm saying? But
No,
Shanae and
I
Queen
mean,
Victoria.
Demi came back. Demi came back and she
Yeah.
kind of killed it. But I do agree with you. I think there's a lot of great girls for Paradise from Clayton's season. But Gianna, we do need a few blasts from the past. It can't be only Clayton's girls and then, Gabby and Rachel's men and then Michelle's men,
Yeah,
Katie's men. There are so many men to choose from over the past 3 seasons. Like, we still need
true.
Greg and Andrew and that group in Paradise. So what other girls do we think will be in Paradise? There has to be a few old schoolers that come back.
Oh
Like Matt
God.
season girls that didn't get a second chance. Maybe they'll bring Jasenia back. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna
maybe
say. Yeah.
they
Oh,
can
this is hard.
bring
I really got to think about
who
this. But
who
I
was
know you mentioned
Matt's?
like
Yeah.
Katie's season, like that's on the top of my list for people that I need on Paradise, not want, need. It's the whole Greg, which he said that he'll probably never go to Paradise. Andrew, like that whole friend group, Justin. I need all of them on the beach together. I need them to have their own spin-off show at this point. I mean, have you been
Yes.
watching the TikToks, their social media? Like I am in love with that friend group. That's the best thing to come out of the franchise in a long time, in my opinion.
Well, maybe we'll get a new hot group of guys on Gabby and Rachel's season. The Bachelorette premieres July 11th, everybody. So mark your calendars. We will still be keeping up with Bachelor, news, updates, coverage. There's going to be plenty of drama and tea to discuss over the next few months. And we will also be recapping and talking about other celebrity moments, reality shows, and pop culture here at Shared News. So let us know in the comments what other shows you guys are watching that you want to hear us discuss, and we will definitely cover it over here. And let us know your thoughts on the Bachelor finale, everything, all your hot takes, even if you missed the live video. Gianna, before I close it out, give us your one last hot take.
Oh boy, one last hot
One
take.
hot take.
One hot take. Clayton
Quickly.
needs to go to therapy. I said this. Him and Susie
Okay.
should go to couples therapy. That's it.
Okay.
Roast
There it
me
is.
in
And
the
there's the
comments.
spinoff. There you go. Put them on like Marriage Boot Camp. There's other reality shows or something. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for watching. That is everything we have to share with you guys today. So before you go, remember to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, joined by the lovely Gianna Gravelisi. Our social media handles are on the screen right now, so be sure to give us a follow, come say hello, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.